Open up the chat. Hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. It's evening in our neck of the woods. I'm joining a little later because I really wanted to make sure that, I'm playing around with the times, seeing which times are best for you all to catch me live. Some people told me the middle of the day is kind of hard for them. So, anyway, we're here. We are live. Today is feeling really cozy. And I just realized that, like, when it comes to my live streams, while, you know, obviously I want you all to have a good time and gather value from them. But at the same time, I want to make them a little more intimate and cozy. So here we are. It's nighttime. I have my tea. I always encourage you all to bring a little drink because we all need a silly little drink sometimes. Um, what I want to change up with the live streams, I found these old mindfulness cards. They're not old, they're cute. I've had them for a while. And I realized like maybe it would be fun to test out by pulling one of these cards before we start each live stream. So I'm going to pull one. Um, there's rest and balance, curiosity and joy, insight and awareness, and kindness. I just figured it would be a nice way to kind of set intentions for the calls and make them a little more fun, and hopefully it speaks to you a little bit, one of them at least. So tonight, we're going to be talking about date night looks. We're going to be talking about just general outing night out looks. These could be date night looks with your partner. These could be date night looks for a solo date night, which is so, so important for women to have. And we're going to talk about fashion. It's going to be very fashion heavy, but we're also going to talk about dating and taking yourself out and the pleasure that comes with dating, because I think that a lot of pleasure from dating is being like sucked out in the world that we're living in today, for a variety of reasons. Um, but yeah, so to get started, I think because we're talking about pleasure, I want to get into curiosity and joy. And let's just pull a random card from here. Let's see. The question of who and what it is that is aware of all this experience starts to become more and more prominent as you deepen your mindfulness practice. If we are aware of our thoughts, then we can actually be our thoughts. Who knows? Spend 5 minutes sitting with this question and pay attention to what comes to mind. If we are aware of our thoughts, then can we actually be our thoughts? This one's interesting. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Like, my thoughts are not me. I think I had that realization like very recently. Anyway, I don't know. I just thought it would be cool to start off with some cards. Let me know how you guys feel about the cards. I don't know. I'm paying attention to the chat. Anyway, let's get into date night looks. Now, I called this high value date night looks, high value woman date night looks. This is for women. Um, the label of high value woman is a very loaded one. Okay. So I just want to unpack what I mean when I say high value woman date night looks before we even get into any of this, right? So to me, like, a high value woman is a woman that stands on business. She is a woman who defines herself and steps into the world that way. She doesn't necessarily look to trends. She doesn't look to other people. She doesn't look to culture. She doesn't look to celebrity. She wants authenticity in her life. She wants to be proud of everything she does, and she has a mind of her own. She doesn't need anybody to let her know who she is. And the reason I used that word to describe these date night looks is not because she's like this super elegant woman and very high status and all of that. The reason I chose this is because she's a woman who decided to define sexy for herself. She's a woman that is taking the initiative to take herself out. She is the woman who is actually taking the time to date. Even if she has a partner, they're dating. Even if she has a partner, she's still taking herself out. Regardless, she's a woman who allows herself to have experiences, goes after them. And that in itself is what makes her sexy. She's a woman who is living her life full of life, and she's taking it one day at a time, but she has a vision at the same time. So I just wanted to share that so that there's no confusion, because I see all the time people saying like high value this, low value that. Oh, you're not this, you're not that. And it's like at the end of the day, none of us really get to decide what it has to be for other people. Um, and that's the same thing. High value is just like a word like sexy. I have clients who come to me and there'll be women who are like brilliant. I always call you all brilliant women, but they will be brilliant women who are kind of afraid to step into dressing sexy because they don't want to feel like they're wearing someone else's costume. High value is kind of the same way. Like they're afraid to like step into, wearing someone else's label for them. They'd rather define that for themselves. So when people come to me, they're often like, I want to look sophisticated sexy. I don't want to look like a manufactured version of sexy. And so as we get into this, we're about to get right into these looks. But as we get into this, for me, this definition of sexy, sophisticated sexy, is much more about sensuality than it is about, oh my gosh, I might get in trouble on YouTube. I just realized that it is about, the S word. We'll just say the S word. It's much more about sensuality. So this is a woman who's going out and she is making sure that she feels good in what she's wearing. She feels attractive, but she also feels intelligent, cultured, worldly. Um, she knows she's attractive, but it's not a, hey, look at me, here I am. It's much more of a, hello. And to me, that is the perfect balance of sexy. Anyway, let me stop saying the S word. So let's get into a little deeper. There's a few things that I want to note before we hop into this lookbook that I created for you all. I want, when it comes to women trying to dress for date night, trying to dress for even going out alone, trying to dress for attraction, I think that the specific dress, the bodycon dress, we all knew her and loved her in the early 2000s, 2010s. The bodycon dress is a very limited idea of sexy to me. Not to say I won't wear a bodycon dress, because I will, or I wouldn't put someone in one. But when we think about, okay, it's Valentine's Day, or okay, it's a date night, or okay, I'm going to go out. Women's mind oftentimes goes straight to bodycon because that's what we were kind of conditioned into. You all know those nights out with your girlfriends, whether they were in college or in the beginning of your career and things like that. Like, it looked good. It was cute for a while, but like there comes a point where it just kind of feels limited. Like it's just like a piece of fabric on you. It's not really giving dress. And I think something about a high value woman, a woman who is sophisticated, sexy, I think that she understands that a dress can look attractive without it necessarily having to be super form fitting. Or like an outfit, or she doesn't necessarily need to show all things that she's not comfortable showing with to be sexy, right? So first thing is moving away from the idea of a bodycon dress. You'll see some in the lookbook, but that's not the focus. Next, when it comes to, you know, anything date night, anything attraction, anything focused on going out for the joy de vivre, that is something where you want to actually play up your femininity. And by that, I don't mean you must wear pink. I mean, it's Valentine's Day, so there's going to be some pink, there's going to be some red. But by play up your femininity, I mean like let yourself be a girl, let yourself be a woman, let yourself be a human, a spirit living, a female human experience. Oh, don't take these looks so seriously. I think that I've noticed that, we've gotten really into like the blazers, and I love a blazer. But like, sometimes it starts to feel a little carbon copy cookie cutter because we're seeing it so much. Lean into your femininity. I think that there's something about that that makes you stand out, especially given the way that fashion and trends have been the past few years. When you actually lean in the opposite direction of a trend, sometimes that makes you even more attractive. That makes you look even more vibrant, interesting, high value, dare I say. So play it up. Number two, play up your femininity. It can be helpful also to know your archetype. If you know the feminine archetypes, the feminine seduction archetypes by Aisha K. Faines, if you've worked with me, you know how much I love her. I will link below so you can find out what your archetype is. If you don't know it, I make all of my clients do it because it's really important to know where your power as a woman lies in order to step out into, okay, this is how I'm going to be seen without saying a word. All right. Number two, have elements of surprise and delight in your looks. That's more for you than anybody else, but other people like it too. I think that this is for any look, not just date night looks, but especially a date night look, especially solo date night look. Elements of surprise in your outfits are going to, again, like really bring out that attraction level, that interest. I'm going to show you what I mean in the lookbooks. So that's number three. And yeah, my last point, number four, is how we show skin. Last but certainly not least, how we show skin. I think going back to the idea of sexy and defining sexy for yourself, a lot of women have experiences where how they learned about sexy or how they were taught what sexy is have to do with showing a lot of skin. We won't even get into that on YouTube or LinkedIn. um, but I think that what happens is women are shown a fork in the road path of two extremes. Extreme number one, you are showing way too much skin. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. I'm saying that in a way where it's like the outfit doesn't have personality. All you're doing is showing skin. That is a problem. That's not a great outfit. That's not style. That's not your style. That's not really who you are. You're just wearing a dress, or more like the dress is wearing you. And mind you, this doesn't have to be a dress. Not all of these looks are dresses. This could very well be pants wearing you, tops wearing you, whatever. But like that is one extreme, one end. The other end, the other extreme is feeling uncomfortable with being seen to the point where you yourself don't feel comfortable seeing you and seeing skin. I talk to people about this often, and here's what I want you to know. There are places in your body that I think you need to learn how to get comfortable with. Um, it's not to say that you're showing all these places at one time, but this is my little way of kind of, if you want to start dressing sophisticated sexy, but you feel like you're not sexy, which is a lie, but it's a conversation for another day. Here's how you're going to get started. You're going to show skin at sensory points. This is for both extremes, by the way. This is for the one who's showing way too much skin. I want you to come over here. And this is the one who's like afraid, deathly afraid of like showing any skin at all. I want you to come here. There's a nice easy medium to this. And that is understanding sensory points and showing sensory points. So what do I mean when I say that? There are sensory points, pulse points in your body. Oftentimes we're taught to use our perfumes and scents on these pulse points. These are the pulse points I want you to keep in mind when you're thinking about sexy, especially as a spirit in a female human body. um, Sensory points are places like your wrist, your neck, your jaw. They are places like your ankle, behind your knee, in your elbow, your collarbone. I want you to get comfortable with showing skin there and allowing that to be enough. And here's why I say that. Those sensory points, those pulse points are very attractive to the human eye without you having to show skin that you're not necessarily comfortable with or show skin in a way that isn't appropriate. And also without you feeling like anti-sexy. Okay. So, I also give the rule of like, okay, you're either going to show one thing off at a time. So maybe if you have a shirt that's more revealing in the cleavage, you're wearing a long or more modest bottom. If your bottom is showing off your legs, then you're wearing a more modest top. And it's not to say modesty is the goal, but it's to say like, this is just how you can have those moments of sexy while still feeling sophisticated, while still feeling high value, while still feeling like, you're leaving something up to the imagination. But I highly, highly suggest considering pulse points when you're thinking about, okay, is this sexy? If you're somebody who's kind of afraid of sexy, just say like, okay, can you see my ankle? Maybe it's cold outside. Okay, can you see my wrist? Can you see my neck? Can you see my collarbone? Can you see those things? And if you're like way over here, it's like, okay, maybe I should cover up a few of these points and let this point be the star. For me, I love letting my collarbone be the star. It just pops. you know, for some people, their legs. For some people, their back. That's another sensory point. So yeah, I just wanted to share that before I get into the lookbook, because I think that these are things that are holding women back when it comes to that sophisticated, sexy dressing, that high value women date night dressing. You don't need to look like your grandmother, but you also don't want to feel like you just stepped out of Sports Illustrated. Okay. All right. So no offense to those girls. I have some people within my network who have made it to the cover of those, and that's beautiful for them. But I doubt that those same women are dressing that way to go to a steakhouse for Valentine's Day. All right. So now I want to get into the actual date night looks. Let's get into it. So I have some looks that I put together for you all, and there you are. I have to close for a second. Let's present this. So let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is color. Obviously, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, breathing down our necks. Um, think about what color you want to bring in. A lot of people will wear black, that's perfectly fine. You can wear white, that's perfectly fine. But most people's mind go to pink and red. So I just wanted you to consider the coloring that will work best for you. So whether you're a winter, a spring, a summer, or an autumn, pick a pink that makes the most sense for you. So the pinks that lean more on the purplish side, more magenta side, are going to be best for my cool seasons, winters and summers. Whereas my pinks that lean more towards the reddish side, almost orangey side sometimes, are for my warm seasons, spring and autumn. I am a spring, so those are the colors I go for. This dress here that you can see is also very bright, so it would work well for a spring. It would work well for a winter. If you don't know your color season, please book a call with me and we can get started chatting about that. I also have a live stream. If you go back, I can't remember what I called it. But I did discuss color in that and got into a little more depth about figuring out what your color season is. So pink is really fun. It's more, I would say, flirty. It's um, you having like a bit more of a, I hate to use the word youthfulness, but I would say it's a bit more of like a playful color, obviously. So that is something you could think about for pink. Red, I think every woman must learn what red is for her because that works for clothes, it works for lipstick. It's just red is just one of those colors. There are so many women out there who think they can't wear red. I used to be one of them and discovered that no, you just need a very specific type of red. So you can see in the dress example here, these are all dresses, by the way, from Petal and Pup. I'll be sharing the links to these items below. Um, but you can see the same dress is offered in two different shades of red. And I loved that so much because at the end of the day, you need to figure out exactly which red is best for you. So you have these two red options. Which one do I pick? I mean, there's 4 seasons. There's only 2 options here. Here's what I would tell you. If you are looking at this deep red here, the more wine red, this is best for a winter, an autumn, or a summer. Here's why. It has the darkness and the coolness of winter. It has the darkness of autumn, and it has the coolness of summer. If you're looking at the bright red here, I would say this is best for a spring, autumn, or winter. It has the brightness and the warmness for spring. It has the warmness for autumn, and it has the brightness for winter. Um, color seasons and color science is a science, but at the same time, it's not a law. It's much more about understanding what's going to complement you best when you're faced with a few options. So of course, once again, that wintry, summery kind of red is going to lean on the purpler, bluer side, whereas the spring and autumn red is going to lean on the more yellow, orangey side. So those are things to keep in mind. Cool. So we talked about playing up your femininity. We talked about elements of surprise. So here are some more pieces that I really loved, and I want to walk through them. So one of the first pieces you'll see, it's the 2-piece shirt and top, the top and skirt. I love the silkiness. I think that that is so feminine. I mean, anything satin, anything silky. I love that it has. Sorry, the dogs are barking. I love that it has lace. It's very delicate looking. I think that this is really great for playing up the femininity. This next white dress with a cutout at the stomach definitely has all things element of surprise. It's very unexpected. It's showing off. And one thing I wanted to note too is all of these dresses are showing off skin, but it's showing off skin at the waistline. That's another one of those sensory points, pulse points. It's showing off that if that is like your power point on your body, the part that you love, this is a great dress for you. And it still looks very elegant, very sophisticated. You note here that because her midriff is showing, you're not really seeing much of her collarbone. You're not really seeing much with her ankle. Her midriff is what's calling the attention. Mind you, you can still see her shoulders and her arms. That's okay. I think this would also be great if it was like a long sleeve dress as well. Now, this black dress, I know it's cold where many of us are, so it may not be the best option, but I would say that again, like we can see how it's playing up with the feminine silhouette. The dress at the side profile, you'll note that it is a little more fitted at the top and flares lightly at the hip. That is a really great way of showing off this feminine silhouette. That's actually my favorite part of the dress, not necessarily that it's cut out, but the way that it shapes a woman's profile, I think just looks beautiful. Um, so a look like that could be really fun. Something that plays up your hips or plays up your curve is really fun. A dress like this would be really great for somebody with a straight body type or a carrot body type who oftentimes feel like dresses just don't work for them because it doesn't really flatter their figure the way they would like. If you have that type of body type, you want to pay attention to those things that give you a flare at the hip. So I think when we think of Valentine's Day, we oftentimes kind of get caught up in the weeds and forget that a Valentine's Day look could very well be um, warm and fun and have some pattern to it. And I think that that adds to playing up the femininity, that adds to playing up the general like vibe. Um, I love these dresses. These looks are really great. They're not the warmest, but it is really great to find some print for Valentine's Day. And of course, you can play with having some pink and red inside of it. A print, you just can't go wrong, especially the type of print that's going to make you glow. Like I think the woman in the middle wearing this like pink and orange dress, this dress really makes her glow. Again, you can see some collarbone for her, but really the sensory point you're getting here is her back, which is really great. It looks so good. All right. The next thing you want to pay attention to as well is dresses that have a bit of movement. So go for something that has pleats, something that has ruffles, something that's going to move when you move. That is such a great way to have an eye-catching look. All right. Now, not everything is dresses all the time. Some looks are going to be a little more like casual. Also, it's cold in most parts of the world and a lot of the world right now. So you also might want to consider looks that are a little more toned down, but still give you the same vibe. They still have interest, like the way that this top is. It's a little different. It's something you wouldn't have expected. It still has elements of surprise. It still plays up femininity. Like I love the little fur on this cardigan. A beret is really fun. Playing up with hearts and things like that. And wearing it with her pair of jeans. This is a great casual look for Valentine's Day. Also a really great Galentine's Day look, solo date look. Valentine's Day doesn't have to be super, super dressy. So yeah, and what else? Also, just playing around with some accessories. Have fun. I think it's really when people are shopping, generally speaking, they want to avoid things that they're only going to wear once. So have fun with some accessories that are going to bring you um, a little bit of interest and joy in your look, but at the same time are something that you can wear again and again later on. Um, I love these earrings. Everybody is raving about Heaven's Mayhem. That's where these earrings are from. I'm obsessed with them. That's also where these earrings are from too. These gold ones here. I also love the heart-shaped bags. They're fun. You could wear them on a random Saturday running errands as well, but they're really cute for Valentine's Day. The socks, the necklace. Have fun with your look. So these are some things that I put together just based off of like what people might generally be doing for their Galentine's Day week next week. And I really hope that this was helpful. I really hope that this was helpful for you. Cool. So Let me make sure I said everything I had to say. But I think these are going to be great looks to use. My other point and last point is, as we're talking about those sensory pulse points anyway, don't forget to add some perfume. That always adds to a look without you necessarily having to put on more clothes. It is simply just something to just like add to the attraction level, something to add to the sensuality of the experience, because really sensuality is about your senses. So that's why we want elements of surprise. That's why we want some movement in our clothes. That's why we want um, to have fun with the outfits. Um, Now, mind you, it is cold in certain areas of the world, and I'm realizing that those slides didn't do a very great job of covering cold weather looks. So head to my blog where I actually go into more depth. I'll link the blog post below, and I go into more depth with some looks for anywhere you could be, wherever the weather is, however the weather is. So I am going to hop off, and it was really great reconnecting with you all. I will see you all next week on Tuesday when we talk about, I believe next week, Tuesday, we're talking about, let me check that. I want to say we're talking about signature style next Tuesday. We're talking about pretty privilege. Oh, one of my favorite topics. We're talking about pretty privilege next week. I'm going to build on how to gain pretty privilege, and I'm going to give you all an excellent challenge that will be really exciting for anybody who is interested in like developing pretty privilege for themselves, or really harnessing pretty privilege for themselves. This is going to be a really, really great challenge. So join in on my live stream next Tuesday to get in on the challenge, and we're going to have a good time. All right. So everyone have a good night and have some sweet dreams if it's nighttime where you are. If not, have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.